Ladies and gentlemen, it's the CBSI BOLO Show! Now sit back and relax as Brian and Jack recap first appearances, reader buzz, and hottest variants in comic books releasing each and every week. Coming to you from an unidentified command center, here's your host, Brian Wood!
What's going on, guys? Brian Wood, Simpleman's Comics, Thursday night. So, we have the CBSI BOLO Show. If you don't know, it's the BOLO Show. As always, we have the CBSI BOLO List. I got my co-host here, Jack DeMeo, a.k.a. Mr. Bolo. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, buddy?
What's going on, Wednesday Warrior, CBSI Nation, Simpleman's Comics family? As Brian said, I am Jack DeMeo, a.k.a. Mr. Bolo. Happy to talk here on another Thursday night, talk new comic books. A lot happened yesterday, and I'm excited to talk about it.
All right, bringing us both in here. So, those who didn't notice, or you coming in late, change it up a bit. We got a new official intro to this show now, so it's no longer just some little title saying, hey, we about to start. Hold on, buddy. We have an official intro for the BOLO Show, which helps because for those that aren't aware, we have the live YouTube, we have the replay YouTube, but we also have a podcast audio version of this show. CBSI Comic Book BOLO Podcast, available on iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher. Working on iHeartRadio, but we're getting there. So, check us out if you don't want to, like I always say, if you don't want to look at our ugly faces, check out the audio version where podcasts are found. And as always, chat's coming in here all messed up. I'll fix that in just a second. This show is sponsored, and it's from SlabbedHeroes.com. Nick Dwortman owns Slabbed Heroes. If you're looking for modern, guaranteed 9/8 at a great price, definitely check out SlabbedHeroes.com. And before we get into more of the actual BOLO list, we wanted to reiterate we have a contest going on right now. Contest is if you, the week before, which was what, March 27th, right?
27th, yeah.
So if you watch that video and you pre-ordered a Honor and Curse #1 CBSI variant, and you comment on there that you bought one, you're going to have a chance to win our Knights of the Golden Sun variant that we did earlier. So, Jack, I'll let you talk a little bit, and I'll fix this weird chat that's coming up the screen.
Yeah. So what we want to do is we want to give everybody an opportunity this week to go ahead and get those orders in. You know, I know we hit, you know how we do with variants. We hit you out of nowhere. We drop that link. So we heard from some people waiting on payday, people waiting on a few different things. So we want to give you an opportunity to jump in. So we're going to let that run for a whole nother week until next week. So you still have an opportunity right now to head to comicbookinvest.com. I'm sure Brian can get that link up there for us. And get that Honor and Curse variant and be entered to win our sold out, completely gone Knights of the Golden Sun #1 variant. Both from Mad Cave and both from the amazing Mauricio Villarreal art. Guy is absolutely outstanding. You notice I call him art because I'm used to calling people by their IG tags. So I end up throwing their whatever their IG tag out is rather than their name. But yeah, so I mean, absolutely incredible. As I mentioned when we unveiled the book, I think these two books go great together. You get the light, the dark, different style, but both absolutely knockout covers. And again, $2 of every purchase is going to St. Jude's Children's Hospital. So, you know, you're making a difference in children's lives as well. We're getting some kids some money, and there are few charities more deserving than St. Jude's. If you're not familiar with them, I encourage you to look them up, and check them out. You know, they take care of kids and families who are going through cancer treatments and other illnesses, and they make sure that all the expenses are taken care of so that the family can just focus on getting their kids better. And as a father, and many of us are fathers out there, I think that's something we can all relate to. So, you know, that's a very noble cause we wanted to jump on board with. But, you know, that's something, like we said, you'll see from CBSI going forward with our variant program. But, you know, we still have Honor and Curse available. A book is scheduled, like we said, to release around April 10th. So be sure to grab them, though. They're selling out. We're more than halfway through sold out of our stock, so they will not last long. But we definitely wanted to give everybody an opportunity this week to go ahead and grab the book and still be entered in for the Knights of the Golden Sun contest. And while we're talking about the Knights of the Golden Sun book, I also want to mention another contest going on right now, comicbookinvest.com. We are going back into Writers' Wars season. So if you're not familiar with Writers' Wars, what Writers' Wars is allows CBSI readers, comicbookinvest.com readers, social media followers to go ahead and enter a contest on comicbookinvest.com, pitch your column idea, write a column, put it up. We're going to put it up on the site. People are going to get to vote on their favorite column. And the winner of the contest, there's lots of books. We've got a lot of books. We've got Die #1 variant to give away, a Immortal Hulk 16 Shattered Comics variant to give away. We've got our Knights of the Golden Sun #1, as we mentioned, numbered to 250 variant. So a lot of great gifts to give away. But the biggest thing is a lot of you have reached out and said that you want to be a part of the comicbookinvest.com team, or that you have ideas or things that you think you can do, or things you think you can do better. And this is where we encourage you. Now is your opportunity. A lot of people don't realize this, but Ben Stein, the writer of the Hot 10, he actually was a former Writers' Wars contestant. Andy from the Indie Spotlight series is a former Writers' Wars contestant. Peter Rayner from Usual Suspects and the Dollar Bin Digging is a former Writers' Wars contestant. And last year's winner, Philip Newton from Trade Secrets, was a former Writers' Wars contestant. So, we have brought in some serious heavyweight writers through this process, and now is the chance for you to show your creativity, for you to possibly join our team, and for you to win some great prizes. So, we definitely want to go ahead and throw that out there and make sure you guys know we've got some opportunities for you guys to get your hands on this Knights of the Golden Sun #1 variant, because I know that a lot of people were upset that they missed the boat on that one.
Right. So, thanks for stalling long enough. I got the chat fixed until I probably switch cameras, so I'm going to try not to switch off cameras here. We'll see. Trying a bunch of new things in this show. The little chat window is a little different tonight. Got a different background. Got the intro. Speaking of we got a lot of people coming into the chat right now. Comic Ace, Elephant in the Room, Ben C, Paul Wiederhold, DLE Comics. Chat room's rolling in. We got a bunch of people participating, which you can actually see now because I've actually fixed it in the window. But moving right along, why people are tuning into the show is the BOLO list for this week, right? So we have the BOLO list for April 3rd.
Correct. And I do want to say one thing, though. We've mentioned the chat. We got Ben C in the chat, the owner of CBSI, and he did make one correction on this Writers' Wars contest. The contest is tied into just ideas and brainstorming. So we're just looking for your ideas, and this is your opportunity to make your voice heard. A lot of people like to jump in the comment section on articles, but that's not really the format for going and kind of letting someone know, some of your ideas and what you think you can bring to the table. So what we've done is created this platform for you to be able to do that and make your voice heard. And we will be developing the formal content in the coming weeks. But for right now, the contest isn't actually tied to the books, just the brainstorming process. So it makes it even easier. So head to comicbookinvest.com, check out Ben C's post on the front page, and you can read all the details.
Right. Also, for those that are aware, there is a link in the description of this video if you want to purchase the CBSI Honor and Curse variant. So it will be in the description, and then I'll go back in later and put a card up here that'll show up if you're watching on the computer. But now that we've gotten the Writer Wars contest squared away, and the chat's kind of getting squared away, but we're going to go into the BOLO list. So
let's do it.
This is the first time here watching this. The BOLO list comes out Wednesday mornings, early Wednesday morning on New Comic Book Day, from AKA Mr. Bolo, originated on Instagram, came over now. It's part of comicbookinvest.com site. It's also on MeWe. It gets put on Facebook. I posted in the YouTube community for my channel. So we get it all over the place. And it has confirmed first appearances, reader buzz, variant buzz, and then Jack always offers a Mr. Bolo's long-term play. So rolling right into it, we're going to go through the first appearances, and kicking us off this week for first appearances is Justice League number 21. So this was what, first appearance of World Forager?
The World Forager? Right. So I think that the key here is actually the familial relation of the World Forager. The World Forager is the I believe, son of, I'm going to mispronounce his name, but Petunia, that appeared in the Justice League Annual, that is also on the cover of the solicitation of advertisement for DC's Villains Month. I've written about her in the back issue BOLO section, again, on comicbookinvest.com. On comicbookinvest.com, in the BOLO list, we don't just put the graphic that you see on YouTube and that you see on IG and whatnot. We actually have a back issue BOLO section article exclusive to comicbookinvest.com. And I've talked before about how DC's Villains Month is a major push that they're doing, and it's gonna be kind of like their big year story, their big year thing that they're working on. And the fact that she's kind of front and center, again, it really gives credence to her first appearance as a speculation play, and one that's still really a cover price book. But now we see a character created that really expands her world. We know that this is the child of the Anti-Monitor and Petunia, I think. So, now we're getting this kind of increased familial relation, and I think that brings more credence to the original character, as well as give value to World Forager. It's kind of like a one or the other thing. Like, if you're already specking on the Justice League Annual, I would grab this Justice League 21 as well. I think that there could be something here, and I certainly think with the way that DC movies have gone and I'd say lack of success, and the way that they've used a lot of villains on TV shows, I don't think it's impossible for a newer character created by DC to show up on the big screen fast. So definitely a cheap, more long-term spec, but one that I don't hate. It's certainly not a team appearance.
Right. So I didn't pick it up. I was going to pick up the Jay Lee cover, but I went and they actually were all out. One other thing we always want to mention, we have confirmed first appearances, and we talk about the confirmed first appearances, and this goes for every book on the BOLO list. Buy what you like.
Right.
Don't go out there just thinking like this is going to be the list that, go buy these comics and you're going to make all this money and put your kids through college. My number one rule, my number one commandment is always buy what you like. That way you'll never be disappointed. If it goes up in value and you want to sell it, flip it, by all means do so. But we always want to put that disclaimer out there. That's the most important thing, man, is buy what you like.
Right. The value of the BOLO list is the fact that because it's what people are saying on social media, it may tip you off to a book you weren't aware of. Right. So, you may already have your list of books and you may be like, wow, I didn't realize, that variant was popping like that already, or I didn't realize that there was going to be an upcoming first appearance. And that may give you, some added insight. So it's a tool. It should not be your only weapon. And again, that's what we've got, a whole release date program on comicbookinvest.com, going back to the Indie Spotlight series, the Simpleman's Comics weekly picks right here on Simpleman's Comics YouTube channel, as well as comicbookinvest.com. The Wednesday one, where Brian and I go head-to-head and battle for new comic books supremacy. So we've got a whole release date program, and we have more content planned. And you want to kind of try to get it all, try to consume as much of it as you can, as well as from other sources, so you can make your educated decision, and always buy what you like.
Right. And Daily Comics said he agrees, but once you mention all of them, it's tough not to get them. Definitely FOMO. My fault. I admit sometimes I fall victim to FOMO. But then I just look at my wallet and see the little dust instead of money in there, and I go, maybe next time. But moving right along.
Well, I'll tell the truth. I make the list, and I go through the same thing, debating, should I get on this book? And I'm the one who makes the list. So right. Yeah, I'm right there with you.
So next in first appearances is Captain America #9. This was new Dryad? Is that right?
a new Dryad. Again, another book that I covered in the comicbookinvest.com exclusive back issue BOLO section. Dryad first appeared at New X-Men 24. So this is supposedly a newer version of Dryad. We've seen kind of mixed results when characters get kind of redone. I think Dryad died in this series previously. So I don't know if this is I didn't read the book yet. I haven't read anything yet from New Comic Book Day. Last couple of days have been crazy. So, I haven't read the book yet. I will say also, the Ross cover. I think the Ross cover is a home run. It's one of my favorite. I think he's doing a great job on the Captain America run, and I actually think his Immortal Hulk run is kind of outshadowing his Captain America run, making that Captain America run really underrated. But yeah, but I don't know that this character will have a whole lot of heat. The original Dryad really didn't do anything, so that's always kind of something to keep your eye on. I think it's a book you just watch and you see if the character is going to be anything. It's a book I suspect if the character pops off in a couple weeks or in a month or so, you could probably go back and get Captain America 9. So no real rush unless it was something you really wanted to secure a copy for the collection.
Right. So next, this book's kind of picked up some steam in the past day, right? That's Major X #1.
Yes, there's no book I am more excited to talk about this week than Major X #1.
That makes one. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
No, that's typical. That's why I got my Deadpool shirt on. That's why I got my Deadpool hat. Rob Liefeld, I love you. I'm here for you. But yes, Major X #1 released this week. Obviously, there's been a lot of media talk about Major X. And again, here's what I want to do. Here's what I want to caution speculators. You got to buy what you like. So we talk about that. So if you don't like Rob Liefeld, and if he's just not your thing, if you don't like his personality, which is certainly polarizing, I understand that, then I get that. If you don't like his artwork, because certainly there's tons of people in that boat, I understand that too. And I don't begrudge anybody who doesn't want to anything to do with this. That's fine. Where the problem I see coming in, and where I've seen this in my role as social media manager and kind of content director with CBSI, is too much opinion got put into this book. Too many people were like, because I don't like Rob Liefeld, nobody will like Rob Liefeld. And here's the reality. I know, because personally I like Rob Liefeld, that there's plenty of people like me. I grew up in the early 90s on the image revolution. And the same affinity that you hear me talk about Jim Lee with, while yes, I think Jim Lee is a better artist, I think that Rob Liefeld is every bit the visionary that, Jim Lee or Eric Larson or I'm going to mispronounce that name. We're going to get a dirty comment, but Whilce Portacio, have done. Todd McFarlane. I'm a huge fan of all those guys. You guys have heard me talk about Spawn. I grew up in that era, so I'm always going to be a fan of those guys. So I'm always going to support the things that those guys do. I'm interested. Also, I think a thing that kind of went under the radar is a couple of years ago, Liefeld released a trade paperback with Chad Bowers called Deadpool Bad Blood. And it was the most successful selling Deadpool trade of the year. It was just kind of a outside continuity story. So really what that shows is Rob Liefeld has a fan base, a legit fan base that is there. And again, we can judge that fan base, or we can make money off that. So I actually have a weird comparison, but the hate that I hear to this is very similar to like My Little Pony. I get you may not like My Little Pony, and I'm never going to try to sell you to speculate on a My Little Pony book or a Ghostbusters book later on that I'm going to talk about if that's not your thing. But the thing is, don't let that cloud your judgment to the point that you're then thinking that that's the way that everybody thinks. Because the reality is, the first print is selling for $10 to $15 on eBay. Yes, there are still copies on Midtown, one per customer. There are still some retailers out there with copies. I'm sure there's still LCS is sitting with copies for $4.99. But the book is in demand. It's legitimately selling at a profit. The variant has sold, kind of fluctuate all over the place. Shot up to 70, dropped back down to 40, climbed back up to 60. Is sort of settling in that 55, 60 range. But I honestly think that there's a play here with this character because the Deadpool fan base is so huge. Look at what Marvel movies with Deadpool and Cable, with what they're going to be able to do, I should say. And I really don't take anything away from this. I think it is important to note, if you follow comicbookinvest.com or Comic Book Invest CBSI on Instagram, you'll see that I posted a BOLO late last night. And I want to send a shout out. I wish I had the tags in front of me. I got comics 2099. Let me know. There's a comic shop. I think it's called POW Cards and Comics. But it's tagged in the original post. Who originally caught it? But in Spider-Man Deadpool number 47, there is a panel where you can see Major X jumping into lava. Now it's very small. I had to zoom in and blow the picture up huge. We had it up last night far before any app or alert went out today. So make sure you're following Comic Book Invest on Instagram, because we've got those bolos early for you. But do I think that is going to say hurt the first appearance of Major X? No. I still think Major X #1 is a valid book. I think that is a cameo at very best, but I think it's very cool. It's a real Topher true first. Topher was the first guy I thought about when I read that. So I think I really think that that book is one of those books that I think it will sell out, and I think you'll see that if Major X is going $15, $20, I think we'll see Spider-Man, Deadpool around that $10 to $15 range. So I think that there's value in picking up that book, and I think you can probably find that book at your LCS for cover price over the next few days and through the weekend.
Yeah. So the 47 thing, if I don't have it, I'm not going to chase it, because I see people going to try to make that argument for the first appearance when you got to grab like that freaking jeweler's glass and put it up to your eye and look at the book to see it and say, yeah, that's the first appearance. Just me, if I don't have it, I'm not chasing it, because that book isn't as important. I will say I've only read one book this week, and that was War of the Realms so far. But when I did, this is one of the first book, when I walked into Third Eye, I asked Sean working there, like, hey, did you read Major X? And he said he did. Well, first I said, you read War of the Realms, because Jason Aaron, all about it. And then I said, he said one book that I actually surprisingly read and really liked was Major X. And the reason was for everything you said. It said it actually reminded him of reading a book in the 90s.
Right.
So there's reader buzz there, and it's been enjoyed. I'm just giving you a hard time. I'll pick it up and read it, but I'm not a huge...
Yeah.
Liefeld's one of those guys where I don't hate him, but I'm not like, dude, I love him.
But you and I are a prime example. Like, I already know you're not a big Liefeld fan. So I already know, like, this book's probably not for you. Yeah. But you at the same point are not going to completely, ignore a speculation or completely down another person's interest. And that's what we have to look at as a kind of comics community is, if you're you got to see what you're in this for. Like, I want you to buy what you like. But if you're in here to speculate, I'm not going to judge. Again, I'll make money on any fan base and anywhere. And again, because I personally like Liefeld, I know that there's tons of people. By the way, go to a comic convention and look at Rob Liefeld's line. Yeah. Check out how long that is. You're talking about 2-hour wait to get in for a Liefeld signature.
Well, he definitely makes sure he lets you know that he created Deadpool.
Yes, he does. He is a character. Like, I totally get his personality can be off-putting to some. I find it hysterical. And
I don't dislike the guy, but I mean, but to me, he drew him. But ultimately, to me, Jerry Dugan made Deadpool. Writing.
I get that.
But I don't take anything away from Liefeld besides the fact that DC made him first in Deathstroke. But hey, let's move. we'll move right along in here.
If you have Teen Titans Go to the movie.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll get stuff in chat, and I'm sure we'll get stuff in comments as well. But yeah, that right there, the fact that we sat there and talked about it for that long tells you there's something to that title. But
right. Right. Yeah, there is the Deadpool 10 Liefeld store exclusive with Major X on the cover. But we have no real precedent for a store variant intentionally, preceding a first appearance. So I don't know what, in the high buy-in rate, I don't know whether that's really going to do anything in the market.
Yep. So that wraps up first appearances for this week. Short, sweet. Well, I'll say sweet. I don't know about short, but we had some good discussion on it, and we have more people coming in the chat. Walt Parrish, Blue Green Artifacts, Comic Cats are always in here. They recommended a category for Writer Wars about cats. Comic Time's in here. We have Comic Chief has joined us. So next up, we're going to roll right into is the Reader Buzz. So kicking off the Reader Buzz this week was the title that I was most interested or looking forward to just for reading. But, I'll just leave it at that. I don't have all the covers on here because there's 26, 27 covers just from Marvel. I'm not including store exclusives. So I grabbed some of the better ones or the ones that I enjoyed and put them up here on the screen for you to see. Sorry if you're listening on the audio. You can just imagine the covers or watch the replay on YouTube. But so, as I say so 20 times, what do you think of this title?
This is another one that I really like, not from a speculation perspective. I'm also a big Jason Aaron fan. He's somebody I've met a few times through Heroes Convention and through his relationship with Jason Latour and Southern Bastards. And he's a guy that I've always liked to talk to. I think he is one of the best storytellers in comics right now. And I think he kind of gets overshadowed by some of the young heater guys like Donny Cates and whatnot. But this is for him. This is the culmination of years of writing on several different Thor series. You got to really look back on this. We can talk about the Thor movies, but let's be honest. Until Ragnarok, the first two Thor movies didn't really do well. And the reality is, they did well, but they compared to the other Marvel movies, and they weren't as entertaining. The reality is that he has elevated Thor as a character. There's several back issues in his runs that are important, and everything is really built to this. And this event, if you're a Thor fan, sounds very interesting. You've got all realms battling. You've got realms falling. Every favorite character that you've ever known from, Asgardian characters getting involved. Obviously, there's a downside. I don't really understand Marvel's marketing with this book. I don't really get why the 2 million variant covers. I will say there's some great ones. I really like the Oliver Capel variant. I know Marvel tried to really look out for retailers and put that J. Scott Campbell variant open order. So I give them credit for that. I think the Delato 1 in 10 is probably the best art that they did. The only disappointment I would say is, and I think speculators may have gotten burnt on this one, is a lot of people I know pre-ordered that Battle Lines variant for War of Realms. And if you remember, the Battle Lines variants, the first time they came out, did not have trade dress on them. And I think that was a lot of the kind of heat with them. A lot of people didn't see them coming. Line-wide variants from Marvel, people tend to ignore. But the War of Realms one came out. It's the first one in the second series of them, and it had the trade dress on it. So I do expect that to hurt the kind of long-term popularity of the book. But truly, War of Realms, with the way they chose to market it, again, I look at it the same way we talked about Detective Comics 1000. Let's just have fun with this one. Let's read it. Pick your favorite cover. They're all accessible. None of them are incredibly expensive. On the Wednesday one, I talked about the party variant. It's another one to keep a lookout. You had to have that midnight store opening to get that party variant. It's Amanda Conner art. I'm not the hugest fan of Amanda Conner, but it's going to be more limited than some of the other order all you want variants. Be careful with the J. Scott. I think the J. Scott book is going to be popular. It'll be a popular back issue. But I don't think it's going to command a high price because every dealer and their mother knew that was coming.
Oh, yeah. There's some, I've seen pictures on Facebook of stacks 50, 25, 50 deep.
Yep.
I pre-ordered the Delato 1 in 10, which is bottom row middle from, I pre-ordered a 9.8 from Nick on that. That was one of my favorite covers. I like the Granov cover. There's a bunch of covers that I like. I think the art was cool, but there's just so many covers.
Right.
And I bought this book. I actually bought 2 copies at the LCS, the Campbell and the regular. Well, I picked up a party variant also. But that was one of the first titles I read when I got home, just because I was just excited. Because Jason Aaron's Thor run since 2011, 2012 has been fantastic. So I picked that up, read that. Good story, but it kind of reminds me of why people speak of Marvel movies and then the DC movies, because it introduces a lot of characters. I mean, not new. I mean, all the characters, but it puts, it's just wham, here's people from all over the place. Spider-Man, Daredevil, Wolverine, and then and Malekith has come to New York, and he's there to invade. But no spoilers, but there's some cool stuff with Loki in there. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the issue. I'm looking forward to reading this. There's some... I will say Marvel's gotten a little bit better with their event titles.
I agree. I think the quality is up a little bit on the last couple.
Like No Surrender and then No Road Home's been pretty decent. Wasn't a too big of a fan of the whole Civil War II, but I think they've
Me either.
gotten
I didn't like that one. Yeah, and something. This is one of those books I think you keep an eye on. We talked a couple weeks ago about, in the dead of the summer when dealers are trying to move money at conventions and they're going to be making certain cuts. I really think this is a book to keep an eye out for, because I think there's a good chance you're going to see this at convention boxes for $2 for various cover price variants. I think you may see some $1 regular cover A's. And that's a book at that point for speculation I don't mind grabbing, because we've seen Marvel adapt miniseries into movies. We've seen miniseries also tend to carry back issue popularity down the road as new collectors come in and they're like, man, what's the big Thor story I need? Oh, you need to read War of Realms, and then they want to go back and get it. So if I can get in there cheap enough, I think it can be a good speculation, but definitely one you got to kind of keep your eye on and play smart. I love that Delato.
This is one when it's all said and done, I'll probably buy the omnibus because it's gonna have so many tie-in issues to it.
You're right. That'll be an amazing hardcover.
Yeah. So down the road, probably a year and a half or whatever, when Marvel isn't the fastest, but they like getting money. So who knows? It might come out pretty quick. But yeah, I know there's a whole bunch of tie-ins coming starting next week. So, but moving right along, next, a lot of reader buzz on this issue, and that's Immortal Hulk number 16. Regular cover. I mean, we'll get into the big event or the big discussion here, because actually we could talk about it because you do have it in there. Sorry.
I better.
Let's just talk about this title now, and we'll skip over it in the variant buzz section. How about that?
It's fine with me.
Yep. Let's just get it all out there.
Right. So obviously this was probably the most talked about book coming into release day. The first thing that stands out with this book, just keeping it, sticking with the cover A. When the cover art originally got released, this was one of those books that immediately got talked about in the CBSI chats. We were all like, wow, that cover is amazing. Brian, I think, mentioned a week ago that that's the type of cover he wants a poster of. So I think that cover is outstanding. The Hulk Moon, the whole thing, the dark, it really plays into the whole theme. There was a lot of anticipation of a first appearance. We did not get that first appearance in this issue. There were some developments and some events. Again, I really don't want to spoil stuff. There are some characters being resurrected. There's some things happening. So it did really play well into the story, for sure. It has definitely advanced the story. And I kind of like the slow play that Immortal Hulk has done, where they haven't really just given you what you want. They've made you kind of keep coming back issue after issue after issue. There is a cover B as a Guardian variant. I haven't seen a whole lot of buzz or interest in that book. The line-wide variants obviously don't do incredibly well, but we did see a few of them pop off with the Spider-Gwen and the Deadpool. But obviously the big talk is the Joe Bennett 1/25, the wraparound cover. Obviously, stores pre-ordered heavy to be able to get this book. We saw this book shoot up to like 175 pre-sales on eBay. Midtown put it with a ridiculous price gouging initial price of $150, which I wholeheartedly am not a huge fan of.
Well, it was 125. They had it on sale first,
okay,
and then moved it up to 150.
I'm still not a fan of that.
That's some DCBS prices there for incentives.
I get it, but it's just one of those things. And now you're seeing that book trade hands regularly for about $100. That's what we're hearing LCSs are selling it for. That's what we're seeing. I'm actually surprised and impressed with how many people reached out on Instagram and were able to pick this book up for a ratio.
I saw some people on Facebook for $10. I was surprised.
Yeah. I got to say, shout out to the LCSs out there who honored that pricing with their customers. Because that's how you retain customers long term. You may have lost out on $50, $60, $70 short term, but you're going to keep that customer coming back on a week-to-week basis. You're going to make that over tenfold. So that's smart business. So I really say shout out to the LCSs who played ball with their customers with that. But there's some money to be made on that book. Obviously, it's the probably I'd say the hottest book of the week. But unfortunately, a lot of controversy now surrounding that book with the solicitation of the second print coming out before the release of the first print. And now we know that they're not just second printing the cover A, they're second printing the 1 in 25 variant, changing it from that kind of purple hue to an orange hue. And then to make matters worse, we're seeing a multitude of store variants now pop up. To be honest with you, with all reused, questionable Hulk cover art. And it's just stores trying to do what they can do to load up on that 1 in 25 incentive for the second print. I just caution people if you're going to speculate on these variants. Anytime the masses get their hands on things, they mess it up. So that's why I'd rather speculate on a book like by Major X, where people were down talking it, versus a book like this where everybody was on board. Because then it's like, well, who are you selling to? There were definitely some FOMO sales early in the week, but we're starting to see reality set in with this book. So it'll be interesting to see if Marvel comes with more incentives with Immortal Hulk. They are certainly aware that we are making money on it, and they ruin everything that we ever make money on. So we'll see how that continues.
Right. So next on we have Major X on the list, but I think we kind of talked in depth about that, unless you had something you want to add.
No, I mean, we covered the Portasio variant, like we said, $60 to $75. Another cool thing about Portasio is the fact that he left Marvel with Liefeld to start Image. So I like the fact that it's not just some random artist. It makes sense. Also, Portasio is going to start doing the interior art, I heard, around issue 3. So that's something to keep your eye on. So if you're not a huge Liefeld interior, art fan, you're going to get some better art. So,
yeah. Speaking of those 3, and talking about leaving Marvel, that Image, was it Image Evolution? That documentary on that whole.
Yes.
I'm doing a bad job of talking about. I can't remember if it's on Amazon or not. Like Amazon
I believe
Prime.
it is.
But if not, I'm sure you can find it on YouTube. But if you like Image comics, you're into like Lee, Portasio, and Liefeld, definitely check out that documentary because it shows how Brain fart. The other guy, Savage Dragon.
Eric Larson.
Yeah, Eric Larson's got all of them in there.
And Jim Valentino, they all made their move at once. It kind of tells the story of them pulling the plug on Marvel. DC kind of laughing at them and not taking them seriously, and then them taking the game over. It's definitely worth watching. And if you love those guys, you're gonna love it. If you hate those guys, it'll be a fun hate watch. Yeah. So either way,
the Todd father himself is in there. Todd McFarlane.
Yeah. So if you're a comics head, I think it's kind of required viewing for comics fans at this point.
I'll do want to welcome some other people in the chat. We got Discovery Bay Comics. I'm going to take that time we were going to talk about Major X and say, if you like watching comic book content on YouTube, make sure you check out Discovery Bay Comics. He's got a daily video where he pretty much shows you all the comic book related well, I won't say all, a good chunk of comic book related content that's on YouTube, whether it's videos being uploaded or live streams going on that day. JB at Discovery Bay Comics, make sure you check out his channel. And I'll take this moment to say, if you do have a YouTube channel and you're in this chat, make sure you put the name of your channel in the chat so people can see it and subscribe to your channel as well. So there's my plug for Discovery Bay. Good guy. Definitely really good guy. Moving right along, Reader Buzz. The next one we have up is Die number 5. I don't think there's a comic collector on the planet that doesn't have one printing of Die number 1 at the moment. But this comic is definitely good in the Reader Buzz because that's exactly what it is.
Yeah. So yeah, you're talking about the antithesis of a kind of Reader Buzz book. We're marching now. We're on issue 5. The first 4 issues have all sold out and gone above cover. We're looking at these books now going into third prints. It's really kind of amazing to see this book continue to gain in popularity. I've heard a lot from the role-playing game community that they really love this book. I mentioned it before that I don't play those games, but I found the book fascinating. I'm really into it. It's one of those books that really, when an Image book hits, it hits hard. And and that this one is hitting in that way. So I know a lot of times series get popular and they fall at some point, but I would not be surprised to see Die continue to push. And I think most people are kind of waiting for that inevitable any minute kind of option announcement to come out of left field. So I think this book is a juggernaut at this point.
I don't think it's made it as a juggernaut until you start seeing people get tattoos of the little shape, the abstract shape on the cover. Once they start getting tattoos of that, then the book's made it. Those squiggly lines. But
hey, Brian, I want to jump in here real quick.
Yep.
I popping up on my Twitter feed. I actually have a tweet here from Rob Liefeld, and it says, "Let me tell you, Spider-Man and Deadpool number 47 is in no way the first appearance of Major X. It came out a week after my Deadpool 10. He's speaking of his variant. He says, I'm giving notice by mentioning it here, but I will never, ever sign a single copy. Speaking of Spider-Man Deadpool 47. He said, Deadpool 10 came out a week before this as I anticipated a clown move like this. So apparently there's some beef between whether it's Robbie Thompson, Matt Horak, and Brian Reber, who are the team behind Spider-Man Deadpool and him. That gives you some kind of answer on why he came out with that. I don't really love him saying that, but that's him. Yeah. That's Rob Liefeld in a snapshot. But be on the lookout. I would say that those signed and graded Robbie Thompson Spider-Man Deadpool 47 still hold weight and value. And he doesn't decide what the first appearance is. The market will decide that. And the market has not loved variant cover first appearances.
Yeah. Yeah, we got us a Jets and Sharks West Side Story brawl going on. Yeah. That's the type, like I said, I always wonder when he does it. What was the other one they did at Homage? There was an Homage exclusive variant for basically New Mutants 98, and he did the same thing where I'll never sign that.
He got real mad because he saw the image, but it wasn't the final art. When they release it, cover art, they say it's not final art. So the artist hadn't added the homage tag. So the artist hadn't added, like, I don't remember who it is, but their name before Liefeld. So he freaked out, and it was really unnecessary. Full disclosure, I tweeted him this morning about this, so I have no doubt that he saw that and is not thrilled.
Like, what's up, Rob? It's your boy Papa Bolo. Papa Acabolo.
I thought maybe he would be into it. I thought maybe he had something to do with it. I had no idea that it was it was just kind of an Easter egg that Robbie Thompson and the boys threw in there.
As soon as I saw it, you know what I thought of? I thought of Hawkeye Deadpool 0 Spider-Gwen.
Right. But see, at least with that, like I've talked about that before, Jason Latour and Jerry Duggan are friends. So I don't think that there was any malicious intent there. But yes, it's very reminiscent of that. I think it's going to be controversial to that degree. It's not trick-or-treaters, but yeah.
So moving right along, reader buzz. Next up, we had Blood Realm number 1. I know you've been a big fan of alternative comics. I know Andy Tomerlin from Indie Spotlight article is really in love with this. What can you tell us about the reader buzz on this book?
This one has really grown organically. Alterna Comics if you're not familiar with them, they're a small press publisher, really independent. They put out the kind of old style newsprint books. They basically punt the paper quality, the cheap 1980s paper. But before that, they're releasing comics at $1.50. If you read the comics, they're kind of fun. They give you a nostalgia feel reading one of these kind of old feeling books. But the key has been the quality of stories. I first really became familiar with them when they got kind of into some social media controversy. And then I started reading a couple of their books. Has been their kind of first real buzz book. The Blood Realm Volume 1, the number 1, does pretty well on eBay. There's also a second print. You do have to be careful because I think they look exactly the same. But I have not read this book yet, but this is a book I think I want to pick the trade up on. And also, if you're at all interested in them and a fan, their CEO's name is Peter Cementi. You should look him up on Twitter. Look him up on Instagram. He's very active. He's very engaging with his community. He's another small press guy who's really down to communicate with his audience and can help you out with reading recommendations and all kinds of things like that.
Right. Yeah, he is active on Twitter. In fact, he posted a tweet the other day. If you have a comic book YouTube channel, reply to me with the link so I can subscribe it. So I did it, and he liked it, and got a subscriber out of it. So definitely check them out. I know the Alterna Comics has definitely been picking up steam. I've seen some of their titles gaining more and more favorability, and you can't beat the price point with good stories. So definitely enjoy that. And that's going to wrap up the Reader Buzz section, which we had Mr. Roboto Jack talking about Blood Realm for a second.
Yeah, I didn't realize it got kind of robotic. I have terrible Wi-Fi reception in my apartment, and I am moving in a few weeks. So
he's moving just because of the internet he has. He's like, screw this internet. I'm packing up my stuff. I'm gonna set and getting out of here.
Yes, and I have. There will be a new BOLO facility coming soon. It is going to be all set up. It's going to be nice. It's going to be about 3 times the space. So I'm ready to hit you on the head with that one.
So, yeah, that's one thing. We Jack got a camera, got a mic, but he wasn't messing with the internet because he knew he was going to be moving soon. So we're dealing with the best that we can for now. It's not horrible. It's not horrible.
It just makes me sound like a transformer from time to time.
Yeah, or that you just got to stutter.
Yeah.
So we've wrapped up first appearances. We've gone through Reader Buzz. Next up on the BOLO list is we're going to step right into the Variant Buzz section. And kicking off the Variant Buzz, this was one, I won't say it was under the radar, but I think it was overshadowed by a lot of other people that were aware of it. Knew, like, I'm doing a bad job of explaining this, but I don't think people were as aware of it. It wasn't as broad as you see a lot of hot variant. Well, I'm saying hot 1 in 50 variants get, especially with Miss Marvel.
Right. Honestly, this book almost didn't end up on this list because there really wasn't people talking about it on social media. We didn't have a lot of posts on Instagram about it. There wasn't really a buzz for it. But then the book sold out at retailers kind of instantly, and the prices on eBay jacked up to $80 yesterday. So, and I think it just comes from, I don't know how many retailers would be out there ordering a 50-copy Marvel team-up #1. I think now Spider-Man and Miss Marvel, that's a good combo. A Miss Marvel variant, that's great. A Miss Marvel 1 in 50, even better. But yeah, I don't think that is a book that will be heavily prevalent. Now, we have seen values depress a bit. It's going down for about $55 a book right now. So it's not at the kind of heights it was a day ago. So it may be headed in a negative direction. It may be a book where, yeah, the supply is low, but there isn't a real demand for it. But I would also, again, we talk about this. Miss Marvel is coming in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So I think a lot of these high ratio, low variants, there's going to be kind of a race to the bottom to get kind of all of these high ratio, kind of low print variants. And I think if you can get your hands on this one ratio or below, I think you're pretty safe. I think it's one to kind of keep a look at. Also, you kind of hedge your bet when you have all of these other characters in the back. The reason why I like that is, and this is just a little tip for you guys, if you can put, Spider-Gwen and Deadpool in background in your eBay title, anyone searching for Spider-Gwen and Deadpool, that book's also going to pop up, and they may not be aware of that book. So, that's kind of like an SEO tip there. But so that I like books like that where you can kind of play into that. But
search engine optimization is what SEO stands for.
Yeah. The truth is, I don't think I knew that, but
yeah. So this is one thing. This is one of those books that I would also keep eyes on. You can't say Comic-Con. It's the closest thing I think you have for print runs, right? So I would kind of keep an eye on that and see what the print run for this title is. And if it's kind of low, especially for Marvel, maybe look at picking up a 1 in 50 if you're a fan of those characters.
Yeah.
Me, it's buy what you like, of course, but every now and then, if you can get it for a decent price, it might be worth taking the risk. I understand the popularity of this artist for this other book I'm about to talk about right now, but how come the Marvel team up 1 in 50 isn't as hot as the Jim Bartels, the Marvel Tales Virgin? Right. That's the type of stuff that kind of, as Chaz Michael says, is mind-boggling. But
we talked about that. It's speculator trends. It's like you see something happen one time, so you just sort of assume it's always going to happen, and then it's a self-fulfilling prophecy because everyone's going out and buying the books, anticipating it happening. It does happen. So we talked about that with like the Jen Bartel variants, where it's like kind of really doesn't make sense that those books go easy, multiple hundreds of dollars. It looks like. I mean, we're already seeing the Thanos for next week is sold out. You best believe that'll be on the list, and God knows what that thing is going to go for.
Yeah.
But I don't know. There's some 150s get kind of overlooked. I think a lot of these like Marvel Comics Presents and Marvel Comics Team Ups, these like rebooted series that they've done, these high ratio variants, I don't think stores are ordering a ton of them, so I would keep a lookout for them.
Yeah. It's funny seeing all this Thanos stuff, and then like back in like 2010, before Avengers came out in the movie theater with that extra scene, how many people were like, or you walk out of the theater and people are like, who was that at the end?
Right. There was a lot of that.
Who's that blue-faced guy? But so moving right along, this was one of my favorite covers of this week, and that was the Deathstroke 42 cover B, the Matina. And I walked into my LCS, which is I always say it's the smaller Third Eye, which is local to Southern Maryland, because down here in the more country, not up near Annapolis, a big store, they only had 2 covers on the shelf, and both of them were kind of creased up, and they weren't worth picking up, put it that way. But I did pick up a regular cover just because I've been liking that the story in it with the Teen Titans and the crossover. But I love this cover. I'm going to see if I can pick it up somewhere else, because I don't think it's really sold out a lot of places.
Yeah, this one, I pre-ordered this one as soon as I saw the solicitation. I have to say, this upcoming month's DC cover Bs are some of the most standout. There's some killers from the Perio Red Hood one coming out.
Yeah.
Putry's got some stuff coming out. And yeah, this book is a home run. The thing I like about this book is you get kind of like the 2 different views. You've got the action scene versus the head-to-head battle in the background. I like kind of that orange kind of glow throughout the book, kind of stays with Deathstroke colors. And I think, Damian versus Deathstroke is becoming a really classic matchup. So I think I agree. I think this is a book that we talk about this. We're both real bullish on cover Bs. You can order as many of them as you want. So the supply often is more than the demand, especially once stores got burnt early on by not having those like Middleton Batgirls and stuff like that. Stores figured it out. So they started ordering these books heavier. Having said that, again, we talk about the long game. If you're planning on being in this game for years, there's nothing wrong with a book like this, popping off 2-3 years from now. And it's a book to keep an eye on. I don't think we've seen Deathstroke in the proper light in a movie yet. I don't think, other than a post-credit scene. I don't think we haven't seen Damian yet. And there's so much money in Damian. So, I think this one is one that I'm glad I pre-ordered. I'm glad I secured my copies, and I think I may grade some.
Right, and you brought up the orange and the cover. This is one of the things I like some of Perio covers, but there's a lot of them I don't like because he doesn't do the brighter colors in the back. It's like all dark. It's almost like an underexposed it's a painting, but it looks like an underexposed picture where it's almost too dark, and it's kind of like the Green Lantern cover was a perfect example of that for me this week, where I was like, that's kind of cool, but I wish the background would have been a little bit lighter to kind of bring more focus into actual Green Lantern. But saying that, some of his freaking Red Sonja covers are awesome.
Yeah.
So there's some that I like of him, and then some that I don't.
That's where I first really became familiar with him. And if you're just while we're on Perio, if you're out there and you're looking at your LCSs in the back issues, his Red Sonja stuff popped off, the Vampirella stuff popped off. I have had some luck finding his John Carter Warlord Son of Mars virgin covers in back issue bins. So keep an eye out for those. They don't sell as well, but they are just ghosts.
He has real quick before I go into that, I want to give a big shout out to Perry Comics. He just came in with the super chat. Definitely appreciate that. Helps keep the lights on. It's gonna help fix Bolo's internet. But
yes.
So, but also in this month's previews, he's got a Red Sonja exclusive variant. I forget. It's not the normal Red Sonja title. It's like a one-off, but it's one of those exclusives that's mostly pre-orders, and then they're only going to print a few more after what they get pre-ordered for. But it's in. I found it on DCBS when I was looking, or Midtown. Midtown had it, but it's not a Midtown exclusive. So I'll find it, and then I'll put a link to it in the description, or I'll put a link to it in the chat here in just a second. But moving right along with Deathstroke 42, going to go into what we kind of just talked about, and that's Green Lantern 6, the Perio cover.
Right. So, like as I said on the Wednesday one, when you said that you liked that book better, I said, to quote the Immortal Lee Corso, not so fast. I think that this book for me is the DC cover B of the week. I tend to agree with you on the background color, but man, look at that purple. Look at the purple you're getting on that one.
Yeah, it's like Grimace.
Yeah. But see, I look at you and I both like Green Lantern, and
yeah.
I look at somebody like Green Lantern, and I say, when that character inevitably pops off in movies, there isn't a ton of really great Hal Jordan variants. And I think that is something that lends itself more towards this book. We talk about this when a character pops off in movies, people go for the first appearances. That's the first thing that happens. And then you start seeing these great variants start to pop off. And I really think that this is a book, being Green Lantern #6, that I think it may be less prevalent than some of the other ones, and I think that it is a great depiction of Green Lantern in space. I'm a big fan of it. I think that I like Perio. I think he's an up and comer. I do agree. He does a lot of gray in the background, a lot of black, but I think this is a great cover, and I'm all about seeing Green Lantern getting an A artist on the cover, and that's what I want to see. I want to see them kind of spread the love and put them on more characters. So this book for me, I like better than the Deathstroke, but we're sitting here comparing like two amazing covers, so you kind of can't go wrong no matter where you go.
Right. I'm gonna bring up. So it's red. Sorry, talking about Perio. We'll bring it up here. The Red Sonja I was talking about is Red Sonja, Birth of the She-Devil #1. And I'm going to bring it up here, see if we can bring it into video momentarily.
Yeah, and while you're doing that, we got in the comment section, Blue Green Artifact says that he likes them both, but doesn't see long-term value in either. Well, here's the thing. I don't begrudge you that opinion. Brian and I kind of we have a philosophy on these cover Bs. Because the only time we've really seen them pop on the secondary market is on the short term. But the reality is, when you look at, if you've been in speculating on comics for a long time, you know that like some of the hottest variants out right now are stuff from 2005, 2007, because they're just not available. But back then, they weren't thought of as that much. There are tons of variants that now are $50, $60, $70, $80 books that all of a few years ago were $5 box books. So I believe, and I could be wrong. It's my opinion, and you guys are all welcome to your own. But I believe that these DC cover Bs, several of them are going to sneak up on people over the years. That they're just going to dry up, and collectors are going to want them. And when they go to get them, they're not going to be there. And again, I could be wrong, but I think a lot of people are going to buy this and put this in their PC, and I think that that's going to take it off the market.
Right. So, almost there. So there's a Virgin variant, and then there's a regular variant for this. I like the Virgin one. That's the one I pre-ordered from Midtown. I think it was $35, right? And here we go. So there it is right there. I got that in there. Red Sonja Birth of She-Devil #1. So I always like his Red Sonja covers. Probably one of my favorites that he does. There's some other ones I like. He's been doing a lot of store exclusives, and that's kind of built some of his reputation, and then people started going back and getting a lot of his Dynamite covers and stuff like that. So next up on the variant buzz was War of the Realms, but this was the J. Scott Campbell and the Del Otto covers. These were the ones that you saw getting the most buzz for variants, I guess?
Yeah, these are the ones that I would say were being talked about on social media. I don't necessarily think either of them are honestly investments, really and truly. But these are the ones that people were picking up. You mentioned seeing pictures of people with 50. I saw stores showing entire cases of 200 of, the Hella variant. And then obviously if you're ordering excessively on those, you're going to qualify for incentives. But these are the two that people really wanted to get their hands on. They're kind of like the popular PC books.
Right. And like I said, I picked up the J. Scott Campbell regular at the LCS, and I pre-ordered the Del Otto 1 in 10.98 from Slabbed Heroes. So it was right in line with what you saw. Those were my favorite covers of. I mean, I like some of the high ratio covers, but I wasn't willing to go in on it, especially with 27 covers or whatever it was.
And I expect those to end up dropping well below ratio.
So next up, we had Immortal Hulk 1 in 25. I think we kind of talked about that enough, unless you wanted to say some more about it, or.
Oh, I'm tired of that book.
Yeah. But the one after that, which don't seem to have, somehow I forgot it, but it was kind of volatile as well, and that was the Deadpool as Guardian variant, right? Deadpool on a unicorn with Mjolnir and an axe and Rainbow Bridge.
And people kind of laugh at that, but I think that you got to remember, around 2017, Walmart had an entire marketing display within their stores of Deadpool riding that unicorn image that was all over T-shirts, sweatpants, and all kinds of stuff. And I know that because my girlfriend, she has like 3 or 4 of those different clothing items. So I do know that those covers resonate with people. It's funny because when I saw that, I was like, oh, this is stupid. But, again, you can't sleep. That's why you got to sometimes, even I can make that mistake. You can't put your own personal feelings into everything because you've got to sit back and think about the market and where's the market going to move. And, you hit the nail on the head with volatile. It kind of spiked and dropped. And but I think it's proven that there's a demand there for it, that there is a customer base that will want it. I think, again, another good back issue, $10 sale at conventions.
That was I think that was my pick for regular Marvel cover in the Wednesday one. I actually like the cover. I see it as something like you were kind of just talking about where, right now people will look over it, but it might be something down the road, especially as new collectors come in and they want to hunt Deadpool stuff. They might see that cover somewhere and want to look for it. The only thing that'll hurt that is I reached out and was asking all those Asgardian variants you didn't have to qualify for them. You could, stores could actually order what they wanted. But having said that as well, another one that I liked that I actually went yesterday afternoon because my LCS didn't have it, I pre-ordered the 9.8 of the Jorge Molina Spider-Gwen #7 Asgardian variant. It's just a great cover. Just flying through the air, and then they got the Valkyries and stuff behind her.
Yep.
But
yeah, I really like that book. I hadn't seen that book. That book kind of sneaked up on me. But again, I'm a big Spider-Gwen fan, so I really like that book. And I also want to say the artist on the Deadpool variant, David Nakayama, he's a CBSI fan. He follows us. He comments. He likes things. He liked the BOLO list this week. I think probably because seeing his book was on it. I should have put his name on the list. So David, if you see this, I'm sorry, my man.
Yeah, but, especially if I'm sorry I didn't even get the cover for it.
So yeah, we're sorry about that. But yeah, he is a really talented artist, and an artist who I think is on the rise and kind of slept on. So I would keep an eye out for him. I think he's had a few covers pop, and I think he's poised to break out. A nice guy, too. Real nice guy.
Yeah, and he's supposed to be getting some CBSI swag, right?
Yeah,
Working on getting some CBSI swag out there.
Yep, I know I sent his address off to the guys, so.
Yeah. So, actually, I mean, I had the cover on here the whole time. It's just you guys just can't see it because it's super secret hidden. Next, though, on the variant buzz, actually last on the variant buzz, this one came out like gangbusters, man, and that's the 1 in 10 Amber Blake, right, from IDW. I did have this on the Wednesday one, and it kind of, looking at the solicitation, it reminded me of Dark Horse's, not the story, but how I could see the market going with it. It reminded me of Dark Horse's Lady Killer, Joel Jones. Mm-hmm. I could see it picking up that way, and it's freaking. What is it going for? Like $40 right now, right?
Yeah, $40 right now. And you know what the truth is, man? I am an idiot, and I'll tell you this right now. I say this on the BOLO live stream. I say, man, we are transparent as can be, full disclosure. So I'm the IDW guy, right? That's what I like to pride myself on. I could have pre-ordered this book, and I didn't. You know why? I got this book confused with Anita Blake. Have you ever seen that release?
Yeah.
So I got that book confused with that. I didn't see any real heat coming because of that. And missed out. Could have gotten this book around cover price.
Yeah, and it's an oversized issue, so that kind of usually puts.
Right, just less stores are going to jump on ordering up to the incentive, especially being an IDW book. There's certain stores that just don't even play that game. So yeah, so it's a real heater. Solid $40. You talked about it. Andy from the Indie Spotlight series was big on that book. He definitely called that one.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean. Hey, again, I said this before. If I see you and Andy talking about a book, I gotta stop sleeping on it. But this one burnt me this week. So this is the book I'm bitter about because I could have had a couple of them.
Yeah. So my LCS didn't have any of them. They only had like 2 copies of the regular issue. And let me just say, when I speak for my LCS is not the typical. It's not big. Doesn't carry a lot of inventory. It's just me reporting that when I went there, I couldn't find it. I'm not saying, hey, a lot of stores didn't order this. That's not true at all. But I wasn't able to find it. Now, sometimes I can say, hey, can you call up to Annapolis, and they'll see if they have it, and they'll bring it down to me the following week or whatever. But I haven't been able to get it, and I'm definitely not going to pay the prices they're asking for now.
Well, and the thing to remember is when we're talking about availability of books, there's always somebody who reaches out to me and goes, oh, my LCS had 8 of them. And then you're like, well, where are you? New York City. Well, it's going to be a little different. The average person in the United States, when you start talking about, people in Iowa and people in Kansas and people down here in South Carolina, you just don't get stores that are doing the kind of traffic to order books like this extremely heavy. I think most stores would have gotten 1 to 2 of average fair size if they got one at all.
I was doing the Roboto for you. But it wasn't bad. Got a little bit of it in there. But yeah, so that's...
Oh, man.
That's going to wrap up the Variant Buzz section. More people coming in the chat. Andy Tomlin, as always, he's the writer for comicbookinvest.com's Indie Spotlight. So if you like Indie Comics, definitely check him out because he's got a bunch... His articles always have a bunch of great information in it. Peter Wren is in the chat. He also writes Dollar Bin Digging. Great article as well. Perry Comics also, as we mentioned before, he gave us a super chat. He also has a great comic book YouTube channel, so make sure you check him out. So we're gonna roll right into your long-term play, right? I think you're on a streak here talking about IDW guy, but
I know, it's funny because I said last week I almost want to pick a different book, but then. I really want my long-term play to not be a book that is being talked about by everybody. So I want it to be a book that's really, really kind of unique to, something I would buy that maybe others wouldn't.
Your Immortal Hulk 1 in 25 wasn't going to be your long-term play?
Yeah, that wasn't going to be my long-term play. Exactly. So, so this book is a book that, I bought. I bought a couple copies, $10 and under. It's not a book I expect huge short-term gains on. But IDW is doing these anniversary one-shots with several of their properties. And again, we're talking. If you've heard me talk about these IDW properties again, it's not the continuity book, so it's not the Ghostbusters series. So you're already talking about Ghostbusters is less printed than, say, Ninja Turtles or Transformers. So you're already looking at that. Now you're into that 35th anniversary book. It's a 1 in 10 incentive. The story is very interesting. It involves the Ghostbusters going to Atlantis. So that's kind of, intriguing as a story. But here's why I'm bullish on the Ghostbusters. They are rebooting the Ghostbusters as a entity. They are about to go hard in 2019 and 2020 with Ghostbusters. And I think that it is, if you're an investor and a speculator, the time to get in on Ghostbusters is now. When you look at all the IDW variants, there are several incentives for IDW that just hang around cover price that are gorgeous, that are not commanding the prices of some of the IDW counterparts. We've already seen a teaser for an upcoming Ghostbusters movie, so we know that is coming. It's supposed to involve, I believe, Harold Ramis' son. Now we've also got the big news coming for this summer is the Ghostbusters Transformers crossover. So
tell them about the Toy Bolo.
Yeah, big Toy Bolo right now, exclusive to GameStop, right, Brian?
I think Toy Wiz had it also, but GameStop's where I think we both pre-ordered.
Yeah, it's very limited. But it's a big Toy Bolo. If you're a child of the '80s, man, there's nothing cooler. But with the Transformers and Ghostbusters crossover coming from IDW, they wanted to really support this full on out, and so they have created a new character. And not only have they created a new character, but they are releasing a Generation 1 Transformers action figure for the character. And the character's name is
Ectotron.
Oh man, was it Ectotron?
Ectotron. Yeah. Like Ecto-1, but it's Ectotron.
Right. It's Ecto-1. So Ecto-1 is a Transformer. And from what I gather from the solicits, it's almost as if Ecto-1 has been like a dormant Transformer the entire time. And now the Decepticons are teaming up with oh man, who's the one from the first movie? The villain from the first movie is the bad guy in the series, but she's teaming up with the Decepticons, and that brings in the obviously the Transformers and activates Ecto-1. So there is a Generation 1 Transformers action figure that is being pre-ordered right now. It's $50. I definitely think it's going to be limited. It's a Toy Bolo. Both Brian and I said we both jumped on it and pre-ordered it. I have high expectations for that to have some serious popularity because it crosses into both kind of, to quote Ghostbusters, both streams. It crosses the streams. So I think that that's something to keep an eye on. And I'm really excited about the Transformers IDW, the Transformers Ghostbusters series. The fact that you're going to have a first appearance in issue 1, I'm real bullish on that series. You best believe you will see that on that BOLO list. If it's not popular, it'll be on my long-term playlist.
I did hear rumor that in addition to that Ectotron, there's actually going to be, from Hasbro, which they do every year, is the SDCC exclusive of it as well.
Which will only continue to, those exclusives get a lot of attention, a lot of media coverage. That will only, again, push the crossover and the book higher and higher. And the point that I'm getting at is, I think over the next 2 years, you're going to see a lot of people talking Ghostbusters. I think that's going to happen. I think they are going to go back to kind of the original format of the Ghostbusters. I actually enjoyed the movie with the girls in it, but I think they're going to go back to the original kind of feel and cast and maybe bringing a younger kind of guys, but I'm real bullish on it. I think that right now it's slept on. I mean, it's dormant. Nobody's buying Ghostbusters comic books. So I would keep an eye on that.
Right. Best part, my favorite part of the newer Ghostbusters was Chris Hemsworth.
Yeah.
With the glasses and the lenses and
absolutely hysterical.
Responding to the chat. So that kind of wraps up the BOLO list. What I do wanted to go through real quick was, we'll take the BOLO list down. I want to bring up the Honor and Curse variant again, right? So we mentioned at the beginning, Honor and Curse contest going on right now. If you comment on last week's live stream, the one from March 27th, that you bought a copy of this, you'll be entered to win, which will be announced on the next live stream, the winner of, we're going to throw in a Knights of the Golden Sun CBSI variant with it, right?
Yes.
But
yes. So two for the price of one deal. And if you look on eBay, that Knights of the Golden Sun book has consistently traded for $70, $80. Yeah, absolutely incredible.
So I bought 2 copies, one for myself and then one I actually just recently sent out to a Patreon member because he's always helping me out with my channel and supporting me and hooking me up. He actually just picked me up a JL Justice League 20 C2E2, so kind of payback there. But what I wanted to get into, which
yes,
we all know about this, right? We kind of have a little something in the works here. Mad Cave Studios, Honor and Curse. We talked about Andy Tomlin, who's writing the Indie Spotlight article. Jack, a.k.a. Mr. Bolo. All of us, we like indie comics. We like Mad Cave. We like Vault. We like a bunch of other indies. But Mad Cave specifically, Jack, do you want to tell them what we got in the works here?
Yes.
Real quick.
We don't have a firm date for release yet, right?
Right.
But we are gonna next week. We are gonna be shooting a very special episode. We are gonna sit down, myself, Brian, and Andy from the Indie Spotlight series, with Chris Schultz, the PR director for Mad Cave Studios.
Sanchez.
He is the man behind Sanchez. Whoop, my fault. He is the let's get that out of the way now. He is the man behind the social media for Mad Cave. So if you are interacting with them on Instagram, if you're seeing them on Twitter, he is the man. He is the guy that will be able to answer all of our questions, will be able to give us all of the direction on where Mad Cave is going, tell us the story of where they've been. It'll be a really kind of an exciting show. We are going to pre-film it and then premiere it live, so there will be a live chat. So definitely be on the lookout for that announcement on when that date is coming. It all kind of depends on how much me and Andy mess up, and Brian has to go back and edit later. So we'll see. But it is going to be very fun. We hope it is the first of many. I'm going to just go ahead and put Andy on the spot. And we hope it's the first of many Indie Spotlight series kind of interviews. I think that we have been kind of cooking something up that we really hope to bring you guys on Simpleman's Comics YouTube channel. More CBSI content and more voices. So it's been my pleasure to be here and be a part of Simpleman's Comics and get to share my voice and views on comics here on Brian's channel. And I am excited to get to welcome Andy to jump on and talk comics.
Right. So yeah, just sum it up. We're going to have an exclusive video. We're going to meet we're going to have Chris Sanchez, the PR communications director for Mad Cave Studios. We're going to film it. We're going to have a bunch of good questions in there, a bunch of good content. We're filming it, not doing it live, because with 4 people into the live stream, I think well, you see Mr. Roboto in here with just him and I. If we start adding 2 more people in here, we don't want to risk good content being messed up by technical issues. We figured it'd be better to film it, and we'll edit it up, and then we're going to premiere it live, like he said. We'll let everyone know what date it's going to premiere, and then we're going to have a live chat. Chris Sanchez even said he wants to be in the live chat, so if you have questions for Mad Cave while that video is going on, there's where you can ask all your questions and get answers directly from Mad Cave himself. We're trying to get Mark London, who's the writer for Honor and Curse, Knights of the Golden Sun. He was unavailable at the time, but they did mention he might be available further on down the road for another video, maybe.
Right.
So we wanted to put that out there, let you know this is the type of content that's coming up. As soon as we get it edited, we'll definitely let you guys know what the premiere date is going to be. We'll premiere on Simpleman's Comics YouTube channel, but the video will also be available on comicbookinvest.com. So I think that Andy Tomlin in the spotlight, he's going to have a lot of great questions. He actually has a interview with Mark London previously, so we're going to look and see if we can pull that out of the archives, salvage that up, and come up with some content for that as well. So that's just us saying, hey, we appreciate Mad Cave. Me personally, I put my money where my mouth is. I advocate Mad Cave comics, so I'm definitely buying them as well. Great reads. Honor and Curse. I just pre-ordered. They had a huge sale. If you go to Mad Cave's website, they got back issues galore. Some that you can't find. They might have sold a bunch of them by now, but they had Knights of the Golden Sun number 1, 2, 3, and 4 available on there. I picked up a trade paperback for Midnight Task Force. So, with that being said, we look forward to getting that content out to you guys. And Jack, I'll let you have the last word tonight.
Just want to thank everybody for hanging in with us. I want to thank everybody for dealing with, like you said, some of the internet connectivity issues. We appreciate it, guys. Really love this audience we're building, man. We're getting to a point where we're getting 1,000 viewers a week. I'm very humbled by that, very appreciative that you guys dig the BOLO list and dig what me and Brian are doing here. We want to keep growing it, but at the same point, we're really appreciative of the core audience that we have really built here to begin with. So thank you for the patience with some of the stuff. Like I said, you've seen the video quality has improved, the audio quality has improved, but it's going to keep improving. And we've got a lot of plans for that. I think this week we're at like episode 14 or 15. So it's a work in progress, but we are building a monster, and we want to bring you the content that others are not bringing you. And just thank you very much for rocking with us and being here with us, and spending your Thursday nights with us. It is not lost on me. I greatly appreciate it.
Ditto. With that said, next Thursday night, guys, 9 p.m., same YouTube channel. I don't want to say the bat stuff because I might get copyright infringement or something, but definitely appreciate you guys tuning in, and we will see you guys next week.
Yes.